back, and I said, could you please share with us exactly what just happened? And she said it was the city of Hearst calling in. And she said they don't know what their tax deposit was the second time this week. And I said, well, can't they just call it up on the computer and find out what it was? And she said, no, they can't, because they're not compatible with the county's computers. And I asked them specifically, and I said, is that unusual? And she says, no, all 72 taxing entities are this way. And I said, as employees, how would you solve this situation? And she says, well, what we need to do is have the power, be empowered, have the permission to negotiate with those taxing entities to get a common database, or at least a common API, so that they can access the county's computers and the county computers can access theirs. That's part of Lean Six Sigma. But what I've also found, and I've got, what have I got left here? 36 seconds. Real quick, we have 8 tax offices. We only need 1, according to Ron Wright, if we were collecting only the property tax. We have the other 7 because 63% of the people in this county insist on re-registering their cars in person. And what we need to do is a pilot program that will greatly scope back exactly how much money we're spending on registering. And by the way, it's 1.5 million, Judge, registrations that we do in Tarrant County. And out of our $15.2 million budget, 9.6 million is for auto registrations.
All right, Mr. Snyder, this question will be for you. And throughout this campaign to replace Ron Wright, and this is talking about when there were 4 candidates in this race, all 4 candidates talked about how they want to continue the legacy of Ron Wright. So specifically, tell us 2 ways or more how you can improve on Ron Wright's administration of the tax assessor's office.
Well, I've done part of that already to tell you I'm going to bring Lean Six Sigma. I intend on hiring a Lean Six Sigma black belt master to come in the very first day to help us begin the training process of our employees so that they can share and empower themselves to know their inefficiencies, know where the waste is, also own the solutions to those programs, which will also mean in the process of improving process and improving the product being consumer service, customer service. The third thing, and the most importantly out of that process, is saving money for the county, saving money from the taxpayers that we use to collect your tax money. But Ron Wright also did something very important, Judge, and that was he used this as a platform to go down to the state legislature to lobby, to campaign for Senate Bill 2. I will do exactly the same thing. Senate Bill 2 is very important. For those of you who don't know, we'll back down the rollback tax rate from 8% down to 3%. I also back the governor's plan and will campaign for it down to the state legislature and lead a team from Tarrant County of elected officials from here, not lobbyists, elected officials from here, to campaign for the governor's plan. What does the governor's plan do? It provides a 2.5% cap on revenues that will allow the taxpayers for the first time in Texas history to have a say about controlling their tax burden. In other words, when they want to raise their budgets, say that they don't, they're saying, for example, that they are holding the line on taxes by not raising the tax rate, that's a fable. Because when the appraisals go up and the budgets go up to match, you're getting a tax hike. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have the power to do anything about it. If we pass the governor's plan and we pass Senate Bill 2 again, guess what? For the very first time in your hands will be the power to say to the city councils, the school boards, the county commissioners court, you prove to us you need that extra money, or we're going to hold you to 3% and you have to do what we do in our own budgets. And guess what that is? We live within our means and cut the budget.
Yep. All right, Ms. Burgess.
First opportunity that I see is obviously in IT. That is the business that I currently run. I believe that it's an opportunity that I could seize very easily. Had many conversations with Commissioner Wynn. He's actually the head of the committee that handles the IT, and so I've already started having those discussions. An important component for the tax assessor's office is an education component. Because as I travel across Tarrant County, I speak to people that just simply don't understand who does what and who is in control of what. They believe that I set the market value or I set the rates. And so I think an educational component would be to make sure to get out there and let everyone understand those components and who does what. when you receive that blue piece of paper that had the value on there, there's a little 4-digit PIN number up in the top corner. And you can actually go on and do some research for yourself if you believe that you don't agree with that value that TAD, not the tax assessor's office, set, and you can investigate that yourself based on what's been for sale and sold in your area. So I think an education component is important. Education would also go into the vehicle registrations, because many people don't realize that 86 different types of grocery stores, you can still go in and get your vehicle registered. Even though we have the Texas two-step that you have to have your vehicle inspected before you get your registration sticker, you can still do that. You can also do that online. If your time is worth more than the fee for putting in your credit card to do it online, you still can do that. And you can do that within the same hour that you get your vehicle inspected. It goes through the state system, and it will, if for some reason there's something's wrong, it will tell you immediately that you can't continue that. So there's many opportunities for us to seize in this office.
All right, Ms. Burgess, this next question is for you, and I had it written down, but since you mentioned IT, what innovation do you see that might happen in the future to make the tax assessor, tax collector's office more efficient? And what I'm referring to is something like you see these days at McDonald's, where they have kiosks and other places like that, where you can purchase tickets or things without interfacing with a person.
I think that, that's actually been discussed in the county, a kiosk system, but we need to remember the items that this office does, may be something that a kiosk can handle, but it might also be something that a kiosk can't. A kiosk can't ask your specific question about, I have 14 different mineral properties, and I don't understand why the minerals are being charged for all these 14 different wells. It also can't tell you, how do I handle registering my vehicle that I have brought in from out of state? There are a lot of items that actually come up, and it is the important education that those individuals stand at the counter and answer the questions and handle the transactions. They have the knowledge to understand and answer those questions. And if for some reason they don't, they get the answer. So I think some things can be handled that way. There are major opportunities for us to look forward to enhancements in IT. As you know, we all hold a computer within our hand in our phone. And many years ago, we had a space shuttle that went into space that had less than we have in our hands. And so there's opportunities that are going to become available in 1 year that are just unfathomable right now. So I'm not going to sit here and make empty promises of things that I will bring to you. I will bring to you the knowledge to look for opportunities to make changes and to pivot on a dime, because that's what I've been doing in my own businesses for over 20 years. I've had a small business and a very large business. And when I see a change that needs to be made, I make that change. I investigate it thoroughly before I make it, but you make that change. And that can result in a lot of dollar savings for you and make sure that the county is running very efficiently. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Snyder.
How many of you have been down to re-register your car? How many of you have noticed at the counter that you see a set of computers, 2 different computer systems? One's the county, one is the DMV. The DMV system goes down at least once a day. Once a day. Goes down more than that more often. But the reason is we are required by the state to use their machinery and their software, which is Generation 2. We are currently in most business environments, we're up to some places up to the version 11. Okay, so I mean we're way down the pipe. The point is this: there was a pilot program that Ron proposed last year to the DMV, which employs using kiosks for the purpose of re-registering cars. Now, he didn't follow through with that program because he decided to run for Congress. The point here is this: I have looked at this program and have taken it another step further. We can take the 7 offices that are not downtown and we can place 8 kiosks at each one of those offices. Instead of having 8 man windows, we have 8 kiosks. Those kiosks, when you go in and you scan your piece of paper for renewal, we'll check and see if you've got insurance, check and see if you've had your inspection. If you do, the transaction takes 2 minutes or less, and it spits out your little blue sticker that puts up on your window. The point here is this: we can have one employee supervising 8 machines where we had 8 manned windows. That doesn't mean layoffs. That means the attrition rate of this office, by the way, which is 27%. We will eventually winnow that down if we go through this. But who pays for the system of updating the state's computers and software? The state, not Tarrant County. We will have a pilot program to demonstrate to the rest of the state how we can efficientize the process of re-registering vehicles and expand it to the new car dealers. We have already talked to the New Car Dealers Association, which has welcomed the idea of placing 2 kiosks in 12 different dealerships across Tarrant County. I'm out of time, but I'll talk to you more about it if you would like to after the meeting.
All right, the next question is, Mr. Snyder, for you. As we all talked about here this evening, that the tax assessor's office has somewhere in the neighborhood of 186 employees. How many direct employees have you ever had under your control at any time during your career?
Hundreds, many, many times. Let me give you an example. What a lot of you don't know about me, this comes into the title of what you didn't know. When I retired from NBC5 in 2010, I created a media strategy firm. In 2014, I ran the digital media strategy for a super PAC by the name of Vote to Reduce Debt. And I did the digital media strategy campaigns for 8 U.S. Senate campaigns. We won 7 of those, including the race in Iowa with Joni Ernst and next door with Tom Cotton next door. The point is, I had to recruit the campaign teams and strategists in each of those 8 states. I had to create the campaign for them, as well as manage the efficiency of their ability to approach all those voters. My expertise, especially dealing with the 2 programs that I used to approach our voters, was for these are called low propensity voters. People who voted in 08 didn't vote in 12. We went out to recapture those people and get them back into the race in the 2016 race. The point is here that I have managed not only those employees, and over a span of 8 states at a budget of $8 million. I was also hired by American Health Underwriters here in Fort Worth. Being ravaged by Obamacare, I helped create Valley Health that ranged all the way from Brownsville to El Paso for Jim Cashin, who owned that particular company. And he was going broke, and I said, why don't we create a retail unit for you? I helped not only create the first convertible English to Spanish website for Blue Cross Blue Shield out of Chicago, but I also helped recruit the management team as well as the agents that spanned 132 offices from Brownsville to El Paso. So when it comes to managing 186 employees, that's not beyond my scope of expertise. The point is, we have a very good professional staff there, and I'm going to give them the 6 Sigma practices and skills to be able to do even a better job.
All right, Ms. Burgess.
I've managed small operations with 4 people underneath me, and I've managed large operations that span from coast to coast with 800 employees. But the focus right now is on this tax office. It really doesn't matter what I've done with my employees. I've done their 401ks. I handle their health care. I do their payroll. These are items that I've handled every component of it. Writing the employee procedures, policies. That's where I can turn on a dime. When a policy needs to be added, I know how to write it. But I've handled these employees. And the employees are the most important part of an organization. These are people that, remember, they're people. They're not volunteers. They are employees. And in this case, most of them are civil servants. We have 7 individuals in the administration of the office, and the rest are spread out through ad valorem and motor vehicle registrations, as well as the audit team and the accounting team. These are individuals that need to be treated on a different case basis based on what they do. They need to be trained in different things. An accountant is not going to handle the counter, and the person handling the counter as a clerk is not going to go back and handle the accounting. But these are individuals that we can promote, and we can educate, and we can, most importantly, make sure that we keep them. Employee retention is an amazing thing. And a mass exodus from an office is a very scary thing. So what you put into your employees is just as important as what you get out of it. They're very closely correlated. And I think that a leader that values them is very important.
All right. As y'all, probably most of y'all know, I work for Tarrant County, so I have a unique perspective to this next question, which kind of segues into what y'all were talking about. And this question is for you, Ms. Burgess. What skills do you possess to motivate employees at the tax assessor's office to achieve the mission as stated on the website of the tax assessor's office?
Motivator is what I've done, whether it was for 4 employees or 800 employees. It's what I've already done. It's one-on-one contact. It's knowing someone's name. It's going by and acknowledging that they're there. It's I've sent, birthday, happy birthday, happy anniversary, knowing that they have a life that's outside of that office and acknowledging it. They're a person. But also promoting them through the organization if they have the skills to promote within the organization. And we have some amazing people in the office currently. And it's something that you just have to make sure and pay attention to and be present for. I'll be present here in the office. I will be walking around. I will go to all of the 8 offices and get to know individuals. I probably will know some better than others, but making sure that they know that a leader acknowledges what they do and their value in the organization is going to make their output so much better, and they're going to be highly invested in it. I think that the education component, we have to make sure that the education component within the employees is stressed as well. And we have one person that was added this last year to make sure that that is handled for everyone. I think that people is what we're investing in. And we're investing in these people to take very good care of you when you come into this office. I'll give mine.
All right, Mr. Snyder.
Thank you. Train, empower, trust. That's what you do with your employees. When I was leading Skyball, I started Skyball right after the turn of this decade, and we had to recruit 1,200 employees. Not employees, but volunteers, which in essence were employees, on 36 committees. They volunteered their time for 6 to 8 months to create the best-in-class event that is now recognized by the Pentagon as one of the best military events in the nation. We raised money for the families of deployed troops. Over the past 16 years, we've raised $34 million for the families of deployed troops. But if you have ever managed employees, groups, or volunteers of that size, 1,200 volunteers, it is like herding cats. You have to have the diplomatic skills to convince them that what they're volunteering and signing up to do is the correct thing. Second of all, you have to train them so that they know exactly what you need them to do and want them to do. And then third, you have to motivate them to create the best-in-class event. Folks in Tarrant County deserve not a good and well-run tax office. They deserve a best-in-class tax service. This is the reddest county and the reddest state in the United States. We should be leading the way in both efficiency, customer service, and employee satisfaction. If you want your employees satisfied, you train them well. That's what Lean Six Sigma will do. You empower them to know what their problems are, and you give them the permission and the power to create the solutions that will improve their process and their product. And as a net result, you not only save the money, but you also end up in this process of having very satisfied employees. Whether they stay or go, the point is, they would leave knowing that they've been trained well, and they will talk well about the county when they leave. The bottom line to this is you must own the diplomatic skills that are necessary to convince people they're doing the right thing, and then do what Steve Jobs says. We hire very smart people and don't tell them what to do. We hire smart people and tell them to do their job.
All right, Mr. Snyder, this next question is for you. And I'm just assuming there may be budgetary issues. I don't know that for a fact, but if there are budgetary issues, which there typically are with any governmental entity, are there any that you're aware of that are associated with the tax assessor's office? And if so, what changes do you think need to be made to address those issues?
Well, budgetary, first of all, we have a very large budget, $15.6 million, okay? And then you have the largest component of that budget is the Department of Motor Vehicles. $9.2 million out of our budget is with the DMV. The budget problem we have there is the interface with the state, because we're having to use their old equipment, their old software, and as a net result, we're also having to deal with the bad customer relations we have when those systems go down at either the grocery stores or at the tax offices around the city or around the entire county. As far as arguing in the budget, I'll tell you this much. I think that if we're able through Lean Six Sigma to have the same kind of experience fiduciarily that they have had in Tyler, where they saved $2.5 million the first year in operation of Lean Six Sigma, $5 million the next. If we even have a fraction of that, to be able to go to the county commissioner's court and say we don't need more money, what we need to do is to look at how we use that budget. Whether we give the money back to the county, I don't know at this moment. But the bottom line to it is this. We need to do the following. If we don't need to spend the budget that we're spending down at the county to collect your tax dollars, and we can cut $1 million out of that budget, well, by God, we should. And it should go back to the taxpayers of this county. And the only way you do that is to improve the efficiency. The way you improve the efficiency to be able to reap those kind of savings is to be able to give those employees the right kind of training, which they do not get now. And it is important that they know that when they own the solution to the problem, they will be rewarded. Take a look at what Tyler has done with its employees. Tyler, for example, will give an employee a bonus for a project that is created and saves the city money, and that is the way it should be. The efficiencies of the private sector brought to government, and to me, as far as being a government official, that's a no-brainer.
All right, Ms. Burgess.
I've analyzed the budget for this office for the last 11 years. And occasionally there are items that come up. You know, we did have a new check processing system that we had to buy because the old one broke. And this office runs 100,000 checks every single year. So you can't not replace that. But the three top things, as expected as a small business owner or a large business owner, is payroll, retirement, healthcare. These are expected things. There's absolutely things that we can do to save money. And it's obviously going to be in the top #1 thing, and that's personnel. Getting the best work product out of the same amount of people or fewer people by not asking for more people or reducing, that's absolutely the first thing that you would look at. And we absolutely can do that. I think that there are opportunities to go through line by line, but this budget has been lean for quite some time. And there may be IT issues that come up that we have a savings because we utilize something, but there's going to be, it's always going to be people, healthcare, and retirement are the top 3 things. And going into, delving into the people is the most important part. And the education of those individuals, making sure that they're educated for their job and cross-trained so they can move over to another one that they qualify for, that's important. I'll get back to Tom.
All right. That ends the question and answer session, so each one of you will have 2 minutes.
I'm just running dry.
Each one of you will have 2 minutes to make a final pitch to the undecided voters in the audience. So, Ms. Burgess, you can go first.
Thank you. Guys, my name is Wendy Burgess, and I'm running for Tarrant County Tax Assessor Collector. This was not a decision that I made easily or very long ago. We never thought that this opportunity would come up. We honestly thought that Ron would still be our tax assessor and things wouldn't change. But here we are today, and we absolutely will have a new tax assessor. I have experience within my business, experience within the community. I've given back to my community. I've given back to it within my Chamber of Commerce. I was on the board for 9 years, was the chairman my final year. I was on council for 6 years. I've been involved with my Rotary Club since 2003. These are things that I will continue to do because they are important to my heart, because it's the right thing to do as an individual. I've been involved in the Republican Party for many, many years. And I can't tell you how many clubs because there's a lot of them. And I can't tell you how many years. I think Sherry Heinzman's club is the one that I've been a part of longest out in Mansfield. But I'm a member of many of them. But the most important thing that you need to decide when you do that vote on May 22nd or the 14th through 18th, for those of you that are smart that do early voting, is you're going to hire a CEO for an organization. And I have the skills to run this office already for employees, not volunteers. I've had employees, and I know how to handle it, and those deal with HR issues. HR issues don't come into play whenever you deal with volunteers. I've dealt with volunteers too, and he's right, herding cats. But you are hiring a tax assessor to take care of a very important office that deals with your money. And I will never forget that this is your money. And I will be out in the community talking to legislators and leaders to make sure that we can... My name is Wendy Burgess. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Judge. Friends, I've told you before, and I really do mean this from the bottom of my heart, this is not a job. This is a mission. I'm ready to go to work for the taxpayers of Tarrant County. I'm ready to go down and improve the office, continue the efficiencies, and also improve the improvements of customer service there. Lean Six Sigma is not just some watchword. It is a set of business philosophies and practices that should be employed not just by the tax assessor collector's office, but every segment of government in Tarrant County. The city of Fort Worth has already embraced it in several departments. The city of Dallas already has. This is our opportunity to bring efficiency from the private sector into county government and demonstrate in a Republican county how it should be done. In addition to that, I think it is very important for you to know that this is a platform. As the representative from the tax office of the third largest county in the state and the county that has more tax accounts than any other county in the state, when we show up at the state legislature and we testify and we bring people down with their stories about what is necessary in the terms of getting property tax reform done, Tarrant County will be listened to. Ron Wright did it for Senate Bill 2. It got stopped in the House because of Joe Strauss, as you know, but he's gone and that crew's gone. We know we're going to get significant property tax reform through this session, and you need someone who can articulate the need of that. Let me tell you one thing. I met with a woman over coffee who had called me back in January about her tax bill that she'd gotten. She met with me over coffee. She shows me her coupon for her last mortgage 10 years ago, and then she showed me this year's tax bill. It was $15 more a month than her last mortgage payment, and her kids were telling her she had to sell her house because on her fixed income she could no longer afford that tax bill. Ladies and gentlemen, there is something wrong with that, and we need property tax reform now, and I'm your dog in that hunt. Please remember when you go in February 22nd, vote Mike Snyder for Tarrant County Tax Assessor Collector.
May 22nd.
May 22nd. You all know the election.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the first part of the program. So thank you all both very much. Appreciate it.